recording. Niall.
Gideon.
Dylan.
We are getting good at that intro.
So much. It's great.
Well, you've changed your tune from the first time we did it, where you said you hated it, and I was insulted because it was my idea.
There was
So,
no
look,
idea there. You just said your name.
I
said my name.
I
Dylan
said my
her
name and hoped that you would follow
We all
on.
panicked and went, Gideon, Dylan.
I guess this is happening.
Dylan.
This is our intro now.
Welcome to Emteo Quarantine Catch Up. Today we're talking a bunch of stuff. We have got a bumper ep planned, which is different to the episode we recorded immediately before this, which we just had no idea what we were doing. But yeah, we talk about shit that's happening. That's the podcast. I mentioned at the end of last episode I have a rant to go on.
You did.
We've been allowed
Yeah.
by
Rant, Niall.
yeah, so I'm good to go. We have been allowed by our government. I'm going there. We've been allowed by our government to have one bit of exercise a day. We're allowed to go out, do one bit of exercise. You should only... I just dropped my drink, it's fine. You should only really be going out if you can't exercise indoors. But, alright, so I will sit out in summer and no one will walk past my house. Nothing will happen. Whereas now, I'm sitting in my garden and I'm seeing like every couple minutes someone walking past, someone running past. And technically, yes, we are allowed to do our daily exercise. But it's people who wouldn't be exercising. They're only going out because they've been told that they are now allowed.
Allowed out.
And it really irritates me because they're just doing it for the sake of it. And it's totally unneeded. We're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
and
just,
I get people have got to have their outdoors time, but they're taking the piss a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, only go outside if you really need to. Like really,
do
like
Joe
you
Wick.
can't exercise indoors. Yeah,
Joe
just,
Wick.
like everyone at
Joe Wick
home,
is great.
download a copy of Just Dance and use that as your workout instead of going outside.
Mate, I've got Just Dance
Simple
on the
as that.
Wii. That has been my exercise since I got it.
Yeah, exactly. Or get like. There's a bunch of exercise games. Beat Saber for the VR, Ring Fit Adventure for the Switch, Fitness
Can't
Boxing
forget
for
about
the
Joe
Switch.
Wii Fitness
Wick.
either, Niall. Come on.
Joe
Yeah,
Wick.
yeah, everyone's got a Wick. Stop saying Joe
Joe
Wick. No one-
Wick.
Yeah.
He's so good. Every
I don't-
weekday, 9 a.m, he does half an hour of exercise. I've been doing it for 5 weeks now.
Do you do it every day?
Yeah, every day.
He's always number one on trending.
I just don't wake up at 9.
She's
I-
great.
Sleep at that point.
I was
I-
awake at
I've
9
good
this
sleep.
morning because I wanted to watch a live stream and that was it.
I have a good sleeping pattern because of Joe Wick, so big up my man Joe Wick.
Shout
You
out.
don't need a good sleeping pattern at this point.
I do though.
Um,
It needs to keep me
yeah,
functioning
that's what I need.
mentally. Sleep
I was about
normally.
to say I don't have one and look how I've turned out, but that would not be a good example because I've not turned out well.
I have a good sleeping
Oh.
pattern, and look how I've turned out, guys.
Yeah,
I've just
not
realised
really helping your point.
I've just realised something devastating.
What?
What, Niall?
I missed the opening of my Nook shop upgrade in Animal Crossing this morning.
Oh, no.
I had to be online at 8 a.m. to
Idiot.
see it open, and I wasn't. Oh,
This is why I hate
Push
you.
back the
This is
clock,
why
push
I
back
hate
the
you,
clock.
Niall. You're an idiot.
I'm not changing the clock. That's what the time travel cheaters do. There's a big thing going around. People will change the clock on their Switch to cheat in Animal Crossing, and like if you do that, please stop. It ruins the game. Right, I'm gonna do a video on it on my normal channel because it pisses
It
me off.
is annoying
because
because like just be on time. Just commit.
Yeah, or like even if it's not like a timing thing, like you just like don't like because people will like skip forward like a month to progress through the game quicker. Don't do that.
Just take the time.
Niall,
It spoils you because
No.
Animal Crossing has a yeah. Sorry.
no. Do you know what I hate about you?
What?
Everything.
There's no need for that at all. There is no need for you to have said that at any point. Dylan, you're ruining
Thought
the
it would
audio.
really brighten up the podcast.
Dylan, don't do that, because people aren't going to know what it is. I feel like every single episode is the same. It's me telling you to stop doing visual jokes,
Every-
stop holding shit up to your microphone, just do the podcast normally, and I'm
Every
sick of
single
it.
episode is just Dylan doing a different
playing-
stupid thing that no
Yeah.
one's going to be able to see.
I have a nail dryer that looks like a unicorn.
No
And
one
she keep-
cares, Dylan.
There's
And
no
the thing-
cares.
when it comes to podcast audio, the thing that people hate the most is some kind of like whirring or fan in the background or some sort of noise, and that is all that you are doing. All that you are causing
the
is
only
this
noise you're
podcast
creating.
being worse. You are just making this podcast worse. Genuinely, I will not hesitate to remove you from the podcast permanently. This is your final warning. There's
warning.
video evidence that this
Or
is the
you're
final
out.
warning. It's happening on the podcast. This is your last chance, okay?
Oh.
Buck up.
Hashtag Dylan's being cancelled.
I feel like this is going to be a very ranty episode from me. I feel
feel
like I'm
like
gonna
you're
go on a
really
lot of tangents
angry.
on
And
that.
that's just one of the reasons why I hate you, Niall.
I. You know what? I had a bit of a rough morning, so yeah, I'm
Oh,
feeling.
what happened?
Oh.
I'm not going to mention on the podcast.
Okay.
Well,
We'll
you've made
hear
me
for
feel
you.
bad now, Niall.
I did a really big shit and it hurt, but
Okay, I do not feel bad for you.
no, that's not what it
Why
was.
would
I
you
promise.
do
I
that?
swear, that's not what it was. But I think is now that I've said I'm not going to tell people, all people are going to do is speculate. And now that I've said the toilet thing, people are going to think it's that.
Everyone's gonna be like, no.
Um,
Have you heard that Niall
The toilet.
ate a really bad enchilada?
I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know. What is an enchilada?
Well, you don't know what enchilada is?
No,
Where have you been?
I've never had an
Basically,
enchilada.
It's
I've never had a
it's
taco.
like-
I've never had Mexican food.
have you had a fajita?
No.
A
Come
gyro?
Tosita.
Gyro. I'm losing faith here, Niall.
Wait, is gyro the full word?
Or like a gyro, gyro,
Never had
gyro.
guacamole. Never.
Gyro, you
Never-
are the reason that I'm gonna turn all these
Gideon,
songs
I
into a
think
food.
we need to disown
I think we
Niall.
should kick Niall.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that song? No, it's
Let's
no, you
cancel
can't do that.
Niall.
Who's gonna edit
Cancel
the podcast
Niall
then?
Edwards.
Who's gonna
Gideon.
edit the podcast
Gideon
then?
will. Do you remember Heater Beater? Gideon was your agent, so he'll do it.
Oh god damn it.
I'm an agent. I can just get
right.
a new person.
Yeah.
Do
It's
we
actually
wanna...
me. I'll do it.
Yeah, neither of you have any idea what you're doing. You rely on me, okay? And I also rely on you to have co-hosts. So we're all in this
Yeah.
together. We
People
all
come to
co-host
watch
this.
me and Gideon,
Not you, Niall.
Yeah, not
You
you.
could go home.
Yeah, I'm only here to do the editing and to keep the clock running.
We just felt
steady.
bad for you, so we thought we'd let you be in it as well.
Yeah.
No, look, this was my idea. Okay, like I will go along to the point where people aren't here for me, but I will not get to the point where you're saying that you invited me to this. This is my game.
No,
This is
actually,
something
no,
I
no,
invented.
this was our idea. Gideon
Yeah,
tagged along.
yeah, no,
Hello,
yeah.
I'm a part of this.
But behind the scenes, look, we're really bringing shit out on this
Yeah.
episode. We are dishing each other out.
We're spilling
But,
tea.
Yeah, but this podcast was originally supposed to be me and Dylan, and we invited Gideon to join in for one episode, and we figured, you know what, he can stay permanently, and he took that deal and he ran with
This
it.
is a
and
make a
now-
wish.
Yeah.
yes. We've
Yeah.
been kind enough to let you.
We
Be
were
here.
like, oh, it'd be really good to have your first episode because we were going to do like special guests and stuff.
Yeah,
But then you just kind
which
of
we could
stopped.
still do. We need to still get some people on
Well,
here. We need to see who's
actually-
interested.
Would
Gideon, you're-
people like special guests?
Yeah, let us know. But yeah, Gideon is our Ringo Starr of this podcast. He's the Ringo Starr, and me and you are the John Lennon and Paul McCartney.
Oh, can I be John Lennon, please?
Yeah, because you can beat your wife. That's fine. I'd rather not do that.
Oh,
People
fuck.
still say that's not true. He wrote songs about it and
Yeah,
shit.
they-
Like,
Literally did.
It is.
like the song "It's Getting Better" it literally has the line, "I used to like beat my woman and hit her and keep her apart from the things she loved." Like, what the hell,
It's
guy?
not
I've got
very
that song on
nice.
vinyl. But
It's a bit wild.
we need to plug this quickly. We have an email address. You might know this, we do spooky stories at the end of each episode where two of them are true that we find on the internet and one of them is a lie that one of us makes up, and they have to you two have to guess, or us two, or whoever, basically the two that haven't written the story have to guess who it is that wrote the story. Which one of the story. Look, it makes
You're
sense
doing a
later.
good job here, Niall.
Wait,
You're doing a
I'm
very
going
good
to-
having a
job.
fucking heart attack.
The two people
But-
who don't know which one is fake have to guess which one is fake.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Gideon. which we'll be doing later on in this episode. But if you have a spooky story that you want to tell us about, we will include that as one of them. So email mteoyt@gmail.com. That is emteoyt@gmail.com. Tell us your spooky story, or just give us feedback on the show, or you can
Yeah.
DM us on Instagram. All the links to that are always in the description of the episode.
Yeah. Or
Do we
make
wanna
us
get-
one. Or make us a story.
Yeah, make us
Because
a story.
I'm very
Make a...
not creative.
Yeah, regardless of, like, if it's true, tell us at the top it's true, and if it's false,
Yeah.
tell us at the top if it's false. Yeah, we'll figure out a way to divvy that up between us. So, right, do we want to get into our main topic for this episode, because it's
I
very
guess.
exciting. I think
Go
you
for
two,
it.
I
Go
think
for
you
it.
two aren't on board.
I'm
Aren't as
not.
on board for this
I'm
idea as
so
I am.
not.
Let's do it, Niall.
We'll get it out of the way. I think Dylan especially doesn't like this one, but
I
we'll
hate
run with
this
it.
idea. I hate this.
this episode, it's probably the title of the episode. We are doing a game called The Pain Game.
I'm
which
sure
is an
people are going to want to listen to that.
Yes, it was an idea. Look, it wasn't from my messed up mind. It was an idea on episode 103, I think, of Is This the Podcast, which is a podcast where they pitch podcast ideas, and they pitched this one, and I figured, look, let's just do this. So basically, we each have to tell the story. It has to be the true story of the most amount of pain we have ever been in. And then at the end, we decide who was in the most amount of pain and who was in the least amount of pain. So
I'm not confident.
Yeah, this is going
I'm
to be
not
very
confident.
interesting. I am actually, but I think
Well, that's
I've
because
got
you
very.
always get in fucking
Yeah.
injuries all the time.
But I'm first of all, it's because I'm an idiot, and second of all, I think it's very unearned confidence. Because I also think my thing might not be that bad in the grand scheme of things. So I'll have to see how this
Oh.
goes. Because also, my pain threshold is really weird. Like my parents always say this, and it's been a big issue with me all my life. That really big pain, I don't seem to feel, but like tiny little pain will have me like on the floor, like dead. Like it's backwards. So yeah, so what seems like a lot of pain to me, it might be to you guys. Oh yeah, a stubbed toe, that happens like twice a week.
Oh, to be fair, stubbing a
if you're-
toe, that
Yeah,
Depends
kills.
what on.
It
If it's
kills.
like wood.
but it shouldn't be the most pain you've ever felt.
No,
like,
no.
No, it hurts, but like. You know.
I like to think that I've just ruined one of your stories because you actually you were going to come in here with a stubbed toe and say
Mine's a bit
that's
better
what
than
this
that,
is.
but not much better.
See, I
So-
have too many, but I don't know which one.
Pick
You've
one,
got to
Dylan,
pick which
one.
one. Well, Dylan, I
See,
think I want
you
you to
already
start.
know one.
Yeah, you
already
can go
know that
first. You
one.
can go first.
Yeah, you can't tell us the one that we already know about that you made the mistake of telling us before this.
Right. Oh, actually, no. I also have another one. Okay, no, this is fine.
Oh, here we go.
Right, it was, I think, 2017 on Boxing Day, so it'd just been Christmas, yeah? I got these new pair of heels, because I really wanted to wear heels so I could fit in with other people, right? So for some reason, I thought it'd be a genius idea to wear them around my house, not knowing how to walk in heels. And my dad made us leftover sandwiches. It was like a gammon sandwich. This is a very detailed story.
Yeah, I kind of hope the sandwiches are unrelated to the story.
No,
You're
no,
just like,
it's-
my
it's-
dad
it's-
makes 6 sandwiches.
My dad is...
Just want to put this out there.
Yeah, come round to my house, guys. We'll do
actually,
like
no.
Endorsement.
This
Everyone
sandwich...
listening to this.
Yeah, my dad. Good so much. But it was a gammon sandwich and it was really cold, so I wanted to microwave it, right? So I walked to the kitchen with this sandwich, getting ready to microwave. I put it in the microwave. I close it, everything's fine. I gotta open it, and the thing with it was we had like a box in front of it, so I had to like reach over it. I pull it, I slip on my heels, I land on a tin
Oh.
can that had been like slid open. Because-
Ooh.
Like you know this bit of your knee.
Yeah.
It cuts
For the audio
straight
listeners,
down,
she's pointing at her knee.
like just below my knee. It cuts straight down in like an arrow formation.
Oh.
I am wearing shorts, so like pajama shorts. I'm wearing those, so I'm just there on the floor, and I look down, and I just see blood, and I'm
I
like,
don't like this podcast
And
anymore.
I stand
This is
up, right?
Gross.
But the funny thing is, the first thing I said, I didn't scream or shout. I went, "Dad, I'm bleeding," and he thought, "Oh, I was just a little one." He's like, "Oh, just get plaster." I'm like, "No, it's a
You see,
lot of
this is
blood."
just making me realise how uneventful my life has
Yeah.
been.
So
Yeah,
I got sent to A&E and I was stood there for 3 hours, and now I have a huge
Hang on, hold on. A&E.
Yeah,
Whoa, I didn't realise it was that.
'Cause
major,
I was
hold on.
probably-
Mine did send me to A&E as well.
I was
Mine
proper
was a
bleeding.
result of going to the hospital. So
No, I was-
we'll
How
see
have you
that.
managed
Yeah,
whatever that is?
I was proper bleeding. Like we had to cover it with a tie and like tissue and stuff. And I got there. I had to wait for
Right
3
there.
hours, and I got butterfly
That's
stitches.
that's like a war wound.
Yeah,
Like,
and
holy
I couldn't
You
walk.
come in here saying that like,
Yeah,
oh
you're
yeah,
like,
I've not got anything
It's
serious.
very painful.
Right.
I'm having a
Oh,
win.
you've got stitches, like.
I couldn't walk for 2 weeks, and I had to use the school elevator to get up and down the stairs.
That's a perk. That's a perk.
And
My
now,
school
it
doesn't
was
have an
good.
elevator, so I'd be up shit creek. Like,
But I have this arrow-shaped scar now, so if any
Skyrim users are out there. I took an arrow to the knee.
I reckon that's kind of cool.
And that's how I cut my knee, essentially. True story. True
Nice.
story.
Interesting.
That is
interesting.
brutal.
That's how I
think
spent my
it's probably
Christmas.
got the win, to be fair.
Yeah.
So hang on, you said this happened on like Christmas or Boxing
Yeah.
Day.
You know,
Boxing Day.
the saddest part was I never got that gammon sandwich.
Oh.
I
Okay,
never got
Dylan, we
sandwich.
already discussed this. This
I
isn't about
never got
emotional
the
pain. This
sandwich.
isn't about the gammon sandwich.
Yeah, we were saying before the show that we can't do emotional pain.
No, but I was.
Um,
That's not added on. I was just very angry. I never got to have that sandwich.
yeah, so you really fucked your knee up there. Gideon, it's time
Okay.
for your story.
It's a similar sort of injury to Dylan's. So first off, you need a bit of exposition. When I was younger, okay, every
When
Saturday.
I was a young boy,
My father.
took me to see Shrek 2.
Okay, I'll start again. You might need a bit of
Sorry.
exposition here. When I was younger, every Saturday,
When
I would do.
I'm sorry, I won't try again. I swear, I promise that's
I'm
the
gonna
last
leave.
time.
Okay, bit of exposition here. When I was younger,
What?
Niall. When I was younger, every Saturday, I would go to my local leisure centre, right? And I would do trampolining.
Oh.
Okay. Now you know
Oh.
the big trampolines. They have the very solid metal frames,
Oh no.
Yeah.
right? And at the corner of one of these frames was a really,
Oh,
really,
no.
really sharp corner.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Now I was at this club
I feel like
and I
this
was
is going.
running around chasing this other kid, right? And
hang
I
on,
ran.
hang on. Was this like a
I was a
playful
kid as
chase,
well.
or
We
were
were
you
playing
like?
a game of tag.
Okay, I thought you were like full
To
pelt trying to
repeat,
tackle him
Gideon was
down.
not
I
like
was running-
chasing a
I
7-year-old.
was running as fast as I could around the trampolines, and what happened was, essentially, I cut a corner too tight, okay, and my head just like by the top of my fringe,
Where he's
I
pointing on the
scraped
camera.
across there with the corner of the trampoline frame. It just scraped across, cut really deep into my head, and made a line of a cut
I mean,
across my head there. And
this
I
is
had to go to
explaining
A&E
a
and
lot.
get stitched up.
You're a wizard, Harry.
But yeah, it was quite scary because I did it and it hurt a lot, and I looked down, there was just blood
Oh.
draining onto the floor. So
Yeah.
it was quite scary.
Yeah.
But luckily
Your
there was a guy
forehead's-
who was quite good there who like bandaged me up a bit before I went to A&E.
Big up
Your
that.
forehead's like real bad for bleeding. Like your forehead will bleed a lot.
Yeah.
It's weird because there
Yeah.
don't seem to be
It
like many
bled a
veins
lot.
there.
Well, it's because your
So,
brain's
It bled
there.
a lot.
But yeah,
What?
there's like a lot of padding.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. Just it hurt. It hurt a lot because
It-
like
it
even
does
when
hurt.
even when you get a paper cut, it kills, and that was just a massive deep cut in my head.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love it if we did this. Like, if we ever have a guest, I'd kind of like to do this podcast again. But I'd love it if
Yeah.
they came on and was like, "Oh yeah, I got a paper cut in year 2."
You know, I stubbed my toe the other day. I'd say that's
Yeah.
up there
I
for me.
stepped on a Lego brick.
Like stepping on a Lego brick and stubbing your toe, and getting a paper
They
cut, it
they
hurts.
do hurt.
But it shouldn't
a
be the
lot.
most painful
Yeah.
thing you've ever experienced.
If it is, you are so lucky.
You are lucky you've lived a good ass life.
Or you're really safe.
Come on,
Yeah,
Niall, tell us
that's
tell
how
us
it's
the
gonna-
most pain you've ever been in.
Right, my one also needs some backstory. And so yeah. So for about 3 years ish, from like 2016 to 2019, I had like a lump on my like upper leg, right near where my hip was, but like slightly below. And it was like it was quite worrying, naturally, and it was
Yeah.
nothing. It turned out to be like literally, absolutely nothing, probably. But we wanted to get it removed just in case. So after
Yeah.
3 years of being fucked about and like waiting and waiting and waiting, finally I got to have the surgery to get it removed. Now the surgery isn't surprisingly.
I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
seeing you after
Yeah.
surgery. Yeah,
I came in because I was told like not to leave the house for like a week. The next day
Yeah.
I was in like our Peter Pan rehearsal with my
Yeah.
leg just like up like across
You
the
Yeah.
stage.
You were
And you were being
struggling.
carried between
Yeah.
like Gideon and like another person.
Yeah, people were
Yeah.
carrying me to chairs and shit. But so I spent the whole day in that hospital, and the surgery itself wasn't the painful part of it.
Yeah.
But like, I just a side note to this. I remember like they put you under, and they put like quite heavy drugs on you, and I was under,
Yeah.
and it's like people say it's like sleeping. It's not. Because sleeping there is a gap there, like you have knowledge of a gap there. With this, it was literally like it felt like blinking, like it was so weird because it felt
Yeah.
like nothing had happened. But because I was still like on quite heavy drugs whilst being pushed down the corridor, I remember just being lay on a bed, being pushed down a corridor, not knowing what was happening, and apparently I just kept on yelling. So like, picture you're in this hospital, you see a kid being wheeled down on a bed in the corridor, and he is screaming the following: "Am I asleep? Is this real? I can't tell if this is real. Is it real? Help me!" Like apparently I was just screaming, like I didn't know whether it was real or not.
Aww.
And so that was fucking terrifying. But the thing is, it didn't like I was fine after that. Like I was totally fine.
Yeah.
And like the doctor did tell me, like, hey, maybe don't walk because you're like you won't feel anything at the moment, but you're on ridiculously heavy painkillers, so don't walk.
Yeah.
Guess what this guy decided to do? I just went on with my life as business as usual. So the next few days I was just walking fine, and like the painkillers started to wear off. Like I was still on paracetamol, but the painkillers started to wear off, and like a couple of days in I was like, oh, this is bad. And I remember waking up one morning and just being in like horrific pain, just complete agony, couldn't move, like nearly vomiting from the pain.
Yeah.
But even that is not where this story goes.
Great.
Because I had the surgery on a Monday. That Friday, about 4.5 days later, my sister was like going around the block on her bike and stuff, and I was like,
Yeah.
I haven't been on my bike in a couple
What?
months.
Are you broken?
Yeah.
Now, little did I know, my dad had sold my bike. Well, I think I did. I can't remember whether I knew or not. My dad had sold my bike. So I used his bike. His bike was like one of those bikes that have like ridiculously thin like wheels and tyres.
Yeah.
I'd
yeah.
never ridden a bike like that before, but I thought, you know what? It's probably fine. Bearing in mind, I'd had surgery on my leg a week
You're a
before. The
stupid
dressing
You're a
still
silly
went off. The
man.
stitches were still there. And so I just went on a bike ride, and for like a solid like 5 minutes it was fine. Then I turn a corner too sharply. The bike topples over. I land right where the surgery was, and I'm out. Like I'm just in this road where I do my paper round. I'm just lay in the road, screaming in agony, just like no one there to help, not knowing what to do. Like can barely, like I can't lift my head up. Blood just like I could feel it under the dressing because I had like a plaster and shit on, and I could feel it, and like it was just awful. It was awful, and it was like, again, it was that thing of like nearly vomiting from the pain. It was horrific. And then so like my sister sort of like came back round and found me just lying on the road screaming in pain.
I mean,
Okay, no,
And
I
then
think you might have won actually.
that's
And then
your own
this
doing,
woman-
though.
Yeah.
See,
this woman
that's
came
what
out of her
You
house.
can be stupid, but it still probably hurts more
Yeah.
than one. This is just what hurts the most.
This woman
Self-inflicted,
came.
man.
Yeah,
Still
but
probably hurts more
it's
than
not
most
about
dogs.
like it's not about
Dumbass.
the biggest accident. But like so this woman came out of her house and again just sees a kid lying in the road screaming for his life, just in agony. And so I ended up like being like carried home and then I threw up.
Nice.
Okay.
Right,
how are we gonna vote on
Yeah.
Yeah.
this? Are we all just gonna say who out of the other two was the most or least?
Yeah. So you can't rules are you can't vote for yourself.
Oh.
Yeah. What do you mean, oh, Dylan?
Yeah, that would just cause the biggest paradox.
Just everyone votes themselves.
And yeah, so right, yeah, you can't vote for yourself.
Mhm.
Do we all say it at the same time?
I
Is that gonna be
I don't
hell for the
think that would
listeners?
work because
No, I think if we all just we'll go through the three of us and say who out of the other two was more painful, and then we just have to keep count of
yeah.
if like how many most votes you got and how many least votes.
Right,
you
this
got.
is gonna be fine.
Okay, I'll go
So-
first. I think. I'm sorry, Dylan, but I think
Yeah.
Niall
Oh no, for
definitely was the
sure.
most. So I've got
Um,
Niall, you've got one vote for most. Dylan, you've got one vote for least.
Wait, I just realised this. Wait a
Um,
minute, Gideon. We're gonna be at a tie.
It's going to come down to who Niall thinks
Yeah.
is
Wait, I
more
was
painful
about to
out of
point
me
that
and you.
out then.
Well, so Dylan, do you? Because are you voting?
Obviously
Who are
you,
you voting
because
for,
you
Dylan?
you
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
literally.
I-
You're a dumbass,
Yeah.
but that's
yeah,
not a
no,
her.
it was my. I feel like I almost don't deserve to win because it was my own fault. Who rides a bike 4.5 days after
Yeah,
surgery? Like-
you're stupid, but it must have hurt like hell.
Because also I've just remembered I had to go to an event the day after. It was in Birmingham and it was like this big gaming event and I'd bought tickets to it and I had to do coverage
You're
for it for my
such
YouTube
an
channel.
idiot.
And so I was getting a train into Birmingham the next day. Chilling with mates, going to be waiting in lines all day, so a lot of standing up. And yeah, so it wasn't my choice. But so this comes down to who I vote for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I'm
You
sorry.
have the deciding vote.
but this
I'm so sorry, but this is so difficult.
because they're
I
both
feel like
bad.
you're both.
They're both bad.
They are
You both have,
bad.
like,
You could
horrific
ask
injuries, but I-
questions about it, Niall, if you can't decide.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a good way to help deduct it.
So Gideon, you said you went to the hospital as well for yours.
Yeah.
What did they do in the hospital?
I mean, the guy at the leisure centre had already sort of bandaged it
Oh,
up a bit.
nice.
So I went to A&E.
Like a
They
Mr.
took
Yeah,
me
like
back.
character.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Bump.
No, so I just went to A&E, and it wasn't like a long procedure or anything. They literally just stitched it up and sent me home.
Okay, Dylan, what happened
I
to you at
was
the
stuck
hospital?
waiting for 3 to 4 hours in a ward of
Oh,
screaming children.
nice.
I had a
Nice.
nosebleed. Had to hop.
That's not pain.
Yeah, I had a nosebleed though. That's just important to know. Because I went to the nurse. She bandaged me. Went, why are you bleeding from the nose? I was like, I don't know. And then I had to like walk over. I had to like wait for half an hour for a doctor to appear, and then he butterfly stitched me, and then I just couldn't walk for 2 weeks.
Nice.
Nice.
Right, I'm so sorry, but because I don't want to undermine your pain.
Yeah, because
But-
one of us
No,
is gonna feel
they
good.
were both. They're both very
Yeah.
painful.
I think though I'm gonna have to give my vote for Dylan for hers
Fair
being
enough.
slightly
Fair
worse.
enough.
So what we didn't reveal at the start of this is that when we do the podcast in person, when we're finally out of quarantine and we can meet up and do this podcast all together, the first episode that is going to be the loser of this game getting slapped. So I believe Gideon, you were the loser. You have experienced the least amount of pain in your
Yep.
life. And so me and Dylan both have
Oh,
to slap you on the podcast.
Because
Yep.
I feel like if I had got
Great.
it, we would have been questioned with, why are you hitting women?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if...
Yeah.
Would have had to
Yeah.
come up with a different
Yeah,
punishment.
we would have to be
Yeah,
like
I
female friends.
do want to say, I didn't let that influence my vote.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be as unbiased as possible, but yeah, it would have been weird.
Yeah.
But that's the pain game. It might return. Because
You never know.
Hopefully
You never know.
not.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really have any other stories.
Yeah, I have like 2 others.
Yeah,
I've
I
got
had a couple
one.
of it.
I've got one, so maybe it returns in like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
When
we've
we've
had
had
more
more
time to
time to
enjoy
enjoy
ourselves. Yeah. Right. Let's move on to our next famous segment. What's it called? Spooky stories.
Oh yeah.
So we explained this earlier in the podcast. We've got 3 spooky stories. 2 of them are real. One of them was written by me this time. Because Dylan didn't have time to do hers this week because we're recording this straight
Yeah.
after the last episode.
I didn't have time.
It's
I
not
couldn't
her
do it in
fault. It's
5
not her-
minutes.
Gideon, stop being me. I mean, I did it in 5 minutes, but you know.
Do you want to fight? I'll come in and slap you.
You will
Alright.
not because you are in lockdown.
I will. I
Yeah.
will send him a very
Dylan.
sad
Don't touch
face.
people.
Send a very angry message.
So, is there a punching emoji?
I mean, that's the fist bump one.
Yeah, a fist bump with like mean intent.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna slap
So,
you through this
um,
camera.
Ah!
Yep.
Beautiful.
Great content for the people who aren't watching, just listening.
Just heard
I
about
think
Once
listening.
again.
I think listening to that was better because it
Yeah,
might have
to be
sounded
fair,
like an
you can-
actual slap. So yeah, right. Gideon, do you want to start? Because you're the loser of this episode. Do you want to start with your spooky story?
I can do, yes. Okay. It's untitled
So
because
also,
Niall
My
is an
lighting's
idiot.
gone.
yeah, they didn't have titles on the website I went to, and like I just sort of thought, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay. This one is written in first person, interestingly. It's the first one we've had in first person.
I think all of these are written in
Oh,
first person, I
okay.
believe.
So, my sister and I were staying at an old historic hotel in the middle of nowhere, Montana. The building had been in use since the 1800s. My sister loves this place and has frequented it many times over the years. I was kept up all night by someone pacing around on the hardwood floors in the room above ours. Drove me crazy. In the morning, I asked my sister how she could sleep through it, and she told me that the upstairs of the building used to be a ballroom, but now it's carpeted and empty. The hotel staff confirmed that no one was up there, and furthermore, if they were, I wouldn't have heard heels on a hardwood floor.
That's what?
That's
no.
a bit. Yeah.
Okay, that's real. Niall didn't
Right,
make it
can
up.
I bully Niall? He hasn't sent me my story.
Have I not?
No.
Oh no, I haven't.
Niall.
I
Niall.
emailed it.
Down.
I
I
emailed it to my.
even have my spooky lighting.
I emailed it to my
Let down,
phone
Niall.
so that
You know
I
what?
could.
Whilst you wait for
send
that,
it to
you
you,
can all
but-
hear my nail dryer until Niall does it through his
Don't do it.
There you go,
Don't
I've got
do
my
it.
spooky
No,
lighting now. I've got
no,
my spooky
no.
lighting.
I'm gonna go get my spooky lighting in a second.
It's
email.
It's so he does it faster. I'm sorry.
Stop doing this! Stop! You're ruining the podcast for
My
people.
spooky lighting just makes me look like Voldemort.
I'm not sure if that was even on
Where's
this
your
episode
nose?
or the last
Where's
episode.
your nose?
Yeah, my nose
Oh
gone.
my god! People who are just listening to this, get on the YouTube version because
I look like Voldemort.
You get more jokes on the YouTube one because you get to see us. And that itself
yeah,
is
you
a
just
joke.
you've just messaged me saying, "Bro, I don't have a story."
Great.
I'm just gonna quickly, before you tell the story, just fill the air for a second. I'm gonna go get my spooky lighting.
Oh,
Okay,
dear.
guys, did you know?
If this is what he did earlier,
Yeah,
it's not spooky lighting. He's just getting rid of any other light.
yeah. It's just a bit.
It's
It's
very
like me
clever,
doing
Niall.
this and then just going, wow, I have no lighting anymore.
Yeah.
Right, I've got my spooky
Once
lighting.
again, Niall lets us
Oh,
down.
damn it, no.
Ooh, it's a spooky disco.
Ooh,
No,
spooky.
it's your first school disco that you go to and drink those little Pepsi bottles.
Alcohol.
I can hear the cha-cha slide.
Yeah. Oh no, I can hear the Macarena. I can hear the Macarena.
Slide to the left.
Slide to the right. Do. Okay.
Now this is just what a Tame Impala show looks like.
I'm gonna read my story before Niall
Don't do
talks
that.
about Tame Impala.
Yeah, can't let him
Yeah.
go off on a tangent.
Kevin Parker
okay.
is a genius.
In college.
We know
in
Niall.
college.
Right,
In
shut up.
college. In college.
He admitted it.
In college, I was.
In college?
Yeah.
Stop saying in college because that is a Tame Impala lyric, and I will just
No,
put
That's
it
like
into
any
song.
word could
Cool.
be a Tame Impala lyric.
Can't just say stop saying the word the that features in the Tame Impala song.
No, but
Okay.
it's he goes. We used to do this all.
Kids.
Okay,
It's-
thanks Niall.
it's-
Thanks Niall,
it's-
thanks
it's
Niall.
story
Valuable,
time.
valuable
Sorry.
It's story
contribution.
time.
I hope we don't get taken down for
Please.
I don't think
Okay.
we will.
In college, I was part of our drama club, and we used an 100-plus-year-old opera house in downtown Bidford. M.E.
Bidford.
Yeah, Bidford, M.E. as our theatre.
that. Bidford.
So I was there alone doing work on the set for our next show, and of course, being in theatre alone is creepy, as it gets anyways.
Which we know.
Yeah, we know.
We know from
We
experience.
Yeah.
do
Have you got-
theatre.
Have you guys ever been
Theatre
in the
kids.
theatre whilst it's empty?
Yes, I
Mhm.
have. It's
And,
horrifying.
and like all the
Yes,
lights are off.
it's
I
horrifying.
was in there. I was in there once. I think it was during Aladdin, and it was like me and a couple mates were the first ones in there. All the lights were off completely. It is
Yeah.
horrifying.
It's so
It's
scary.
not
You
nice.
feel like someone's gonna get you. Okay, anyways. This theatre was old enough to have the wooden walkways above the stage that went from one side to the other. As I am painting, I could have sworn I heard someone run across them multiple times. I tried to block it out, but that is nearly impossible. Just as I am about to finish, I hear something fall from above the stage. Even though I couldn't find anything, it convinced me enough that I was done for the day. I think...
Both those stories were just about footsteps above
I
people.
feel like that was fake though.
Is
There's
there
a common
more?
theme here.
Is there more to that story? I
Um,
believe there should be a couple extra lines.
we'll see.
Oh dear.
No, Niall, that's it.
Right, I'll read it from this Google Doc that I've got. Apparently, there's a story of a ghost of an opera singer that died there in Halloween. Before that, I never believed in ghosts. So that's how that one ends.
Ooh,
Um,
spooky.
Also, people will be listening at home thinking that I just revealed that that's a fake one potentially because I said it's in a Google Doc, but behind the scenes I just have these all on a Google
'Cause it
Doc.
was
Yeah,
his
they're all
week.
That's how I send them to each other.
Well, it was my week, but I
Um,
didn't do it.
Yeah, you did. I didn't give you a chance.
God damn it, Niall.
'Cause
To be fair, no, we did just sort of go, no, I'll do it.
Well, no, because I didn't want you to have to rush to have to get a bunch of stuff
Next
done.
week, I'll actually do a really good one, and it's gonna
Yeah.
be great.
Theatre, I hardly know her. So anyway, this is my.
Oh, sorry.
No.
God. Can we scrap this whole
I'm so
episode
sorry.
Can we just?
Yeah, we'll delete the whole
Yeah.
thing. Start again. We'll fake the pain game. We'll do all of that.
now? Nice.
This is my story that I've got to read. On a uni trip to Edinburgh, me and my mates were on a tour of Edinburgh Castle. There are about 16 people on the tour with us, but as the group moved forwards, they seemed to get faster and faster, while still visually seeming to remain at walking pace. However, we were sprinting and still couldn't keep up with them. The group rounded the corner, and as we turned it, they seemed to have vanished entirely. We walked up and down the corridor for a few minutes searching for them. Eventually, they walked up behind us, startling us, and asked us why we ran so far ahead of them. We explained to them what we saw, and they were as confused as us. Once we left the castle, we looked up the history of Edinburgh Castle and found out that that part of the castle used to be used as a prison and had many reports of hauntings. We still to this day don't quite understand what happened in that corridor. So no goofy ones this week.
See, I've been to Edinburgh Castle, okay? There's not many corridors that you go in.
Oh, it's kind of just.
It's mostly the sort of outside bit.
Yeah, it's kind of just there.
I think your one's the fake one, Tim. I think your one's the one that Niall
I
made
feel
up.
like you just got inspired by theatre, but I feel like. I don't want to agree on anything because I always make us lose.
Yeah.
If I choose a different
Okay.
one, then maybe I'll unchinx it. So I'm gonna go.
Okay, no, pick a different one.
I'll go with Edinburgh Castle one.
Okay,
You could
right, so we need
maybe-
to flip something to decide. So
Or
I'll
you
flip...
could both go with
Let's go
different
different
answers
ones
if
because
you
then Gideon, you can win for once.
Okay, I'm saying Dylan's is made
I'll
up.
say Edinburgh Castle.
want. This adds more stakes. This is sick. So, I'm very happy to reveal that Gideon, for the second time this episode, you are the loser. Dylan, the Edinburgh Castle one was made up. Gideon, you nearly had it because you said that it doesn't have any
No.
corridors, and I was
I've
like,
been there.
Yes!
shit,
And I was
because
like...
I've like gazed at it from the outside and gone, oh, that looks like it's got a lot of corridors, and then wrote that story. But can I just say, when I said theatre, I hardly know her. That was actually like, I know I didn't send you titles because I thought this website didn't have titles, but I've just checked it now, and it actually does. It's got titles for all of these, and that one, the title genuinely was theatre. I hardly know her. So
That wasn't funny.
someone after my own heart. I
I
appreciate
finally
that.
won something for once.
Yeah, look.
Gideon's
We're
the
all
losing
good.
factor now.
I mean,
think-
realistically, did you really win the pain one? I've suffered the least pain. Who's the real winner here?
To be fair,
Although I'm going to get slapped.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We're gonna get like.
and what we haven't told you, we're going to be wearing like metal
Yeah.
gloves as we
Oh,
slap
nice.
you.
Yeah. Brass
Donk.
knuckles, and you're not slapping me, you're just punching me.
Yeah.
We're actually just
It's
beating
just
him
a
up.
gun
Yeah.
getting slapped with a bullet. And on that note, that's this week's episode of Emteo. I think it's the longest one we've done,
Oh,
maybe.
nice.
Yeah,
Like,
that's pretty long.
Nearly like 38 minutes. Right. Bye.
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 Theatre, I hardly know her.
God damn it.